Okay, so imagine this. You stumble upon a lost town,
Wow.
frozen in time for 4,000 years.
Yeah,
It's like something straight out of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
totally.
And that's exactly what happened in Saudi Arabia.
Really?
Archaeologists found this Bronze Age settlement called al-Natah. And it's already changing how we think about how cities first emerged.
You know, it's fascinating because we've always looked at places like Mesopotamia as
Right.
like the blueprint for how cities developed.
Yeah.
But al-Natah, it's like finding a missing piece of the puzzle.
Totally.
You know, it's showing us like a totally different path
Oh,
to
nice.
urban life.
Right? Like we have these huge bustling cities in Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
But Northern Arabia, it's always been like kind of a blank spot on the map for us.
Mm.
Like, how do you even find a town that's been buried for like 4,000 years?
It's not easy.
Yeah,
I mean, the desert environment, it can be brutal on archaeological sites.
I bet.
That's why finding a place like al-Natah,
Yeah.
relatively well preserved, it's so exciting.
Okay.
It gives us like a rare window into this crucial period of transition between, you know, nomadic life
Yeah.
and more complex societies.
So in this deep dive, we are going to put on our archaeologist hats.
I love it.
We are going to excavate al-Natah.
Let's do it.
We've got some incredible resources to work with, including this study in PLOS ONE by researcher Guillaume Charloux.
Oh, cool.
So think of this like our treasure map
I like it.
for this deep dive.
Absolutely. This study, it lays out the town itself,
Okay.
but it also connects it to this bigger story
Okay.
of how urbanization played out across different parts of the world.
So let's get down to like the nitty gritty here.
Yeah.
What exactly did they find at al-Natah?
All right. So picture this.
Aye.
A town spread out
Okay.
over an area the size of 3 football fields.
Wow.
That's al-Natah.
Okay.
It's located in the Medina province of Saudi Arabia, and it was occupied between 2400 and 1500 BCE, right smack in the middle of the Bronze Age.
Okay.
And this wasn't just like a random collection of huts or anything.
Right.
It had a central district,
Yeah.
distinct residential areas.
Wow.
I get this protective ramparts.
Ooh, ramparts.
Yeah.
Like a mini fortress.
Yeah.
That tells me that this wasn't just some like peaceful farming village.
Right.
Were they fending off like rival tribes?
Yeah.
Wild animals? What's going on?
That's what's so intriguing.
Yeah.
The ramparts suggest that they were aware of threats,
Okay.
either human or animal.
Right.
It tells us something about their way of life,
Mm-hmm.
the challenges they faced.
Yeah.
And based on the size and layout of al-Natah, researchers estimate that around 500 people live there.
Wow.
Not a huge metropolis,
Yeah.
but still a pretty sizable community for the time period.
500 people all living together 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
It's amazing.
Did they find any clues about their social structure?
Yeah.
Was it like a super egalitarian society? Or did they have like a hierarchy?
One of the most exciting finds
Okay.
was a necropolis.
A necropolis.
Basically a cluster of graves.
Okay.
And you know what they say?
What's that?
From the cradle to the grave,
Right.
burial practices, they can tell us a lot about how a society was organized.
So are we talking like elaborate tombs for the elite
Uh-huh.
and then simple burials for everyone else?
Exactly.
Like ancient Egypt.
That's exactly what archaeologists look for.
Wow.
Variations in the burial goods,
Right.
the size of the tombs,
Yeah.
the location.
Yeah.
All these things can point to differences in status or wealth.
So it's like piecing together a social puzzle.
Yeah.
One grave at a time.
Exactly.
Okay, so al-Natah is giving us a window into not just the physical layout
Right.
of a Bronze Age town,
Yeah.
but also the social dynamics, the power structures that might have existed.
It's incredible.
Amazing. But how does it compare to other ancient cities
Yeah.
that we know about?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
While al-Natah shares some similarities
Right.
with other settlements in northern Arabia
Mm.
in terms of its size and organization,
Wow.
it's nowhere near as complex
Yeah.
as the megacities that were
Yeah.
popping up in Mesopotamia or the Levant
Oh,
around
yeah.
the same time.
So it's like a different flavor of urban development.
You got it.
Right.
Researchers are calling this phase low urbanization.
Low urbanization.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's challenging our ideas about how societies evolve.
Okay.
We tend to think of urbanization as this linear progression
Right.
from small settlements to massive cities.
Yeah.
But al-Natah suggests that it's not that simple.
So Northern Arabia might have been on its own unique path
Yeah.
with smaller, less complex settlements like al-Natah representing like a stepping stone
Yeah.
on the way to larger cities.
That's one of the hypotheses researchers are exploring.
Interesting.
And what's so cool is that al-Natah gives us a real-world example of this transitional phase. It's like a snapshot in time, showing us how societies can experiment with different ways of living together.
Like they were testing the waters of urban life.
Exactly.
Before taking the full plunge.
Yeah.
This is seriously blowing my mind.
I know. It's pretty amazing.
This is great stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a quick pause here.
Okay.
We'll be back in a flash to explore the bigger picture of low urbanization.
Sounds good.
And what it means for our understanding of civilization as a whole.
Can't wait.
So don't go anywhere.
All right. You know, it's easy to get like caught up in the details of a specific archaeological site like al-Natah.
Yeah.
But stepping back and seeing how it fits into like the grand scheme of things is where it gets really exciting.
Right. Zooming out to see the bigger picture of how cities and societies evolve.
Exactly. So let's like shift gears for a moment and talk about urbanization on a global scale. For a long time, the prevailing narrative was that cities first emerged in a handful of specific regions, like those so-called cradles of civilization, like Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley.
Okay.
And from there, urban life spread outwards.
Like those maps in history textbooks.
Absolutely.
With arrows radiating out from these centers of innovation.
Exactly.
Yeah, it all seemed very neat and tidy.
But as we uncover more sites like al-Natah, that simple narrative starts to fall apart.
Okay.
It's becoming clear that urbanization wasn't this one-size-fits-all process happening in the same way everywhere.
So like different regions had their own unique trajectories.
Exactly. Influenced by things like environment, available resources, cultural practices, and interactions with neighboring groups.
So al-Natah, while maybe not a Mesopotamian-style metropolis, still represents a significant step towards urban living.
Absolutely.
Just on a different path.
Yeah, and it really highlights the importance of this concept of low urbanization as a potential stage in the development of many societies.
Can you give some other examples from history where we see this pattern?
Absolutely. Think about the Mississippian cultures in North America with their impressive mound-building societies.
Okay.
Or the early settlements in the Aegean, which predate the rise of the famous Greek city-states.
Right.
These were societies that developed some features of urban life.
Okay.
Larger populations, organized settlements,
Okay.
specialized roles,
Right.
but didn't necessarily reach the same scale or complexity as the megacities we often associate with civilization.
So we're seeing these smaller, less densely populated settlements popping up in different parts of the world, each with its own unique flavor and story.
Yeah. It's like they were experimenting with different ways of living together, testing the waters of urban life before going all in.
And these experiments didn't always lead to the same outcomes.
Right. Some societies flourished and evolved into those grand cities, while others remained smaller or even reverted back to more rural lifestyle.
It's a reminder that history is full of twists and turns.
Totally.
With no single path to progress.
It makes you realize that these ancient people weren't just cogs in a machine blindly following some predetermined path.
Right.
They were making choices, adapting to their circumstances and shaping their own destinies.
And that's what makes studying the past so endlessly fascinating.
It really is.
It's about embracing that complexity and appreciating the incredible diversity of human experience throughout history.
Okay, so we've zoomed out to the global picture.
Yeah.
But I want to circle back to al-Natah for a moment.
Okay.
What are some of the unanswered questions that researchers are still wrestling with?
Well, one of the big mysteries is what ultimately led to the abandonment of the town.
Right.
Around 1500 BCE.
Yeah. Was it a sudden collapse or a gradual decline?
Did they pack up and leave voluntarily? Or were they forced out?
Ooh.
Intrigue.
It's like an ancient cold case.
I love it.
Was it environmental factors like drought or climate change?
Possibly.
That made the site unsustainable?
The desert can be a harsh and unforgiving environment.
Or maybe conflict with neighboring groups.
Yeah.
I mean, those ramparts we talked about suggest that they weren't strangers to the idea of defense.
That's another possibility.
Right.
And studying the construction techniques and the materials used in those ramparts could even reveal information.
Right.
about their technological capabilities and how they responded to threats.
It's incredible to think that even though al-Natah has been abandoned for thousands of years,
I know,
it still has so much to teach us.
It's amazing. It's like each new excavation, each new analysis adds another piece to the puzzle, helping us to refine our understanding of the past.
And it reminds us that our understanding of history is constantly evolving. What we think we know today might be overturned by tomorrow's discovery.
It makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden beneath the sands of time, just waiting to be unearthed.
Totally.
What might those discoveries tell us about our own place in the world?
I know. It sends chills down my spine.
Yeah, this has been an incredible journey so far.
It really has.
But we're not done yet.
Oh.
When we come back, we'll delve into the philosophical implications of low urbanization.
Okay.
And what it means for our understanding of civilization as a whole.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. As we've been, exploring al-Natah and this whole idea of low urbanization, it's really made me think about how we define civilization itself.
Right.
What are we really measuring, and are we using the right yardstick?
That's such a good point, because for centuries we've had this very Eurocentric view of what constitutes a civilized society. Monumental architecture, complex writing systems, powerful empires. Those were seen as the hallmarks of true advancement.
Bigger is always better.
Exactly.
More complex must mean more sophisticated.
Right, but al-Natah and other low urbanization sites are challenging that traditional narrative. They're making us reconsider what really matters when it comes to societal development.
Okay.
Maybe it's not just about the size of your buildings or the complexity of your bureaucracy, but about how you adapted to your environment.
Right.
How you solved problems, how you created a society that allowed people to thrive.
So maybe a smaller, less centralized society can be just as successful and civilized as a sprawling empire.
I think so.
It's a whole different way of looking at things.
And this shift in perspective has implications, not just for how we study history, but also for how we view the world today.
How so?
It challenges us to look beyond those traditional markers of progress and consider alternative models of development.
I see what you mean. Maybe it's not always about bigger, faster, more centralized.
Exactly.
Maybe it's about finding sustainable solutions that meet the needs of people and the planet.
Absolutely.
Al-Natah, this Bronze Age town in the Arabian Desert,
I know,
makes us think about how we live today.
It's incredible how the past can illuminate the present.
It is. It really is.
It's like holding up a mirror to our own society and asking, are we really as advanced as we think we are?
And I think that's one of the most powerful takeaways from our deep dives into al-Natah.
For sure.
It's not just about uncovering some ancient ruins.
Right.
It's about challenging our assumptions and expanding our understanding of what's possible.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of al-Natah, we want to leave you with this thought. What other missing links are out there just waiting to be discovered?
That's the question.
And how might those discoveries change our understanding of history, of civilization, and maybe even of ourselves?
Keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep questioning.
Keep an open mind.
The past is full of surprises.
It really is.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to make the next groundbreaking discovery that changes everything.
Until then, happy digging.